All right, everyone. So we're going to be working on writing our notes on our own, and we're going to start that with a review. I'm going to say 7 for chapter 7 or for 7th grade, and then chapter 1, section 1 or lesson 1. So 7.11 is 7th grade book, chapter 1, lesson 1. All right, then what we're going to want to do is we're going to title our page. On the very top of your page, you're going to write rates. You're going to write 7.1.1, and then you're going to write page 9. And that's how we want to do every one of these. Anytime that we're writing notes, we want to make sure that we head them appropriately so that if we need a quick reference back to it, you'll know where it is because you've labeled it as 7.1.1, rates, page 9. All right, so we're going to begin, and this is a lot of review, so we might speed through it a little fast. So if you need to slow down, reverse, whatever you need to do, go ahead and do it. The first thing we're going to be looking at is finding unit rates, and to do that, I want to go ahead and write down vocabulary. So the first vocabulary that we're going to write down, and go ahead and write vocab, okay? The first vocabulary that we're going to write is about rate. So we're going to write rate, and we're going to do the definition of rate. And here it says the definition of rate is a ratio that compares two quantities with different kinds of units is a unit rate. So next to rate, you're going to write a ratio, and you're going to write this entire sentence. Now when you finish that, and if you're not finished, please pause so that you can finish. The next thing we're going to write is the definition of unit rate. So next thing we'll write is unit rate. And going back here, it says that a unit rate is when a rate is simplified so the denominator is 1 unit. Okay? And you can use these examples as well. It's never a bad idea to put like example after your definition's example. So these are really good. So writing this entire thing is basically what we're doing, but in our own kind of way. So unit rate, and then, a rate whose denominator is 1. Okay. And then example would be 80 beats per 1 minute. Now they show this table down here. You're welcome to copy it if you'd like, but it's not 100% necessary. I think they're kind of common sense. It says a number of miles per hour. If we're talking about someone's average speed, we say miles per hour, and that's abbreviated as MPH or MI/H for miles per hour. Same with, number of miles in 1 gallon, miles per gallon. That's when we're talking about gas mileage, okay? And they call that MPG for miles per gallon. And then number of dollars per pound, price per pound, unit price is what we would also call that. All right, so the next thing that we're going to look at is example number 1. Now with these examples, I don't want you to have to rewrite the entire question, so we'll try and just kind of, whatever we would underline, whatever would be the important stuff, we'll write that down. So for example, for number 1, I want you to write down example 1, and I want you to write 24 miles in 4 hours. So the question says, Adrian biked 24 miles in 4 hours. If she biked at a constant speed, how many miles did she ride in 1 hour? So we're finding the unit rate here. And what I want us to write down is this information right here, because I think that's really important for us to have in our notes. We're going to first say that we're going to write the rate as a fraction. Okay, and so next to that, I'd like you to write 24 miles over 4 hours. And then the next thing that we're going to write is divide the numerator, and I'm going to abbreviate the numerator and denominator by 4. And remember that we're dividing by 4 because we want this bottom number to be 1, so we're going to divide by whatever that bottom number is. So once we divide by that, we end up with 6 miles in 1 hour. Now if we were to write that in a sentence, we're saying 6 miles in 1 hour. And that's how we would write that. Now we don't have to include this in here, but I'd like for you to follow along over here in this top left corner that I have. It says circle the unit rate below that represents 18 cans for $6. So we've got 18 cans for $6. So maybe you can write that on your paper. 18 cans for $6. And we're going to do the same thing as we did here. We wrote it as a fraction. Now we're going to divide the numerator and denominator. This time we're going to divide by 6 because that's what our denominator is. And we end up with 3 cans for $1. And so the middle answer is the correct answer. And we could also write that as 3 cans for $1, or 3 cans per dollar. Alright, so now we're going to be doing the got it, and it wants us to find each unit rate, round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. And so I went ahead and I kind of pasted over those directions that we want to use because we want to always write it as a fraction. Then we want to divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number. And then simplifying it means just what is the answer going to be with a denominator of 1. So when we were given A, $300 for 6 hours, you're going to write that as a rate as a fraction, and then divide numerator and denominator by 6, and then simplify it. I want you to do A and B on your own, so I'd like you to pause the video now, and I want you to write these directions down if you'd like, and then you can use it for both. You can almost like put one section here, one section there kind of thing. So go ahead and do those now. Pause the video. Alright, so check your answers with mine. You should have come up with A, $50 per 1 hour, and for B it was 27.5 miles for 1 gallon. Example number 2 says find the unit price if it costs $2 for 8 juice boxes. So the first thing we do, again, they've got the little directions here for us. Write the rate as a fraction. So I'm going to write that as the $2 for 8 boxes. And for a question like this, I just need you to put example 2, okay? And you're going to write $2 for 8 juice boxes. Okay? So you don't have to write the whole thing. That's just really the meat of it, right? And then we're going to write that as a fraction. So you would write this out. And then you would divide the numerator and denominator by the bottom number, which is 8. And then you would end up with 25 cents per 1 box, which is the unit price is 25 cents per juice box. So pause the video if you need more time to write that down. For example C, it says find the unit price of a 4-pack of mixed fruit if mixed fruit sells for $2.12. So I want you to write it as a fraction and then divide the numerator and denominator by whatever number. We're trying to find a unit rate of a 4-pack of mixed fruit. So I'm interested to see if you guys can figure out how to set this problem up correctly. Alright, I'm going to pause the video now, and or you should pause the video now, and then when you come back we'll have the answer. Alright, so hopefully you came to the point where you put the 4-pack on the bottom. I don't want to know how much it is per 4-pack because we know that a 4-pack is $2.12. If I'm trying to find a unit price, I just want to know how much one mixed fruit would cost. And so I'm dividing top and bottom by 4, and I end up with 53 cents for one fruit, or one mixed fruit. Example number 3 says the 3 prices of different brands of dog food are given, or different size bags of dog food are given in the table. So what I want you to do, so that you're not copying this whole thing, I want you to transfer this table onto your piece of paper, and we're just looking for the better buy. Okay, so better buy, and you're going to transfer that table onto your piece of paper. So pause the video if you need to. So they're saying that, and they went ahead and figured it out, that each how much each was per pound. We've got a 40-pound bag. We take the $49 it costs per bag and we set it up as we're trying to find out the price per pound, not how many pounds per dollar. Okay, so if we're trying to figure out how much is per pound, the per pound is going to be on the bottom then. So that 40-pound would be down here and the 49 would be here. So of course I'm going to be dividing by the denominator, and ultimately that's going to make approximately $1.23 per pound for the 40-pound. And then the 20-pound and the 8-pound were already done here for you, but that's how you would do it, okay? It's a division problem. Now, ultimately, we find that the 20-pound bag is the cheapest. So the 20-pound bag, so what I would do is I would, write this all out and I would say, okay, this one is the cheapest one. That's the better buy. The alternative method I think is very interesting that they show here. They're kind of like reasoning it out with common sense and saying, well, first of all, if we want to just eliminate some ideas here, we know that a 20-pound bag, if it doubled, is going to be a 40-pound bag. So if I took that $23.44 and I doubled it, then is it cheaper than the 40-pound bag? So far, yes, it is, because it's a, let's see, 88 cents, $46.88. So it's cheaper. So for right now, I know that the 40-pound bag isn't the cheapest one. So then we're dealing with the 8-pound bag. Now, as far as the 8-pound bag goes, I could again relate that to the 40-pound bag, and I could say, okay, well, that's 5 times more expensive, or I'm sorry, 5 times the size, and so I could take my $9.88 times 5, and again, I'm just comparing this to my 40-pound bag, but I've already eliminated my 40-pound bag, so it's not the best plan, but I'm going to go through with it. That's going to be 44, $49.40 is what I find out. And so if I find that out to be $49.40, it's more expensive than the 40-pound bag, which I already eliminated as being an option. So the 20-pound bag. So that's like not the best way to go. I think that, finding the per pound is always the best way to go, but it is another alternative method if you can reason it out. Sometimes it's more work than it would have been just to divide. Okay. So you're going to do D, and again, I'm just going to have you write the graph, or the table, I'm sorry, the table out, and then what we want to figure out is what's the better buy, okay? So which one's the better buy, which one ends up being cheaper per ounce, okay? Because again, it's easier to figure out how much we're paying per ounce than it is to find out how many ounces per dollar. So go ahead and figure out which one the best buy is. Again, you're using division. You can set them all up as fractions first and then solve them. So pause the video now and get to work. Alright, so that was a lot of work because a lot of decimals going on there with the division and rounding to the nearest penny. But you should have found that the $2.79 for 18 ounces is the cheapest per ounce, not by a lot, but enough. So Grandma's is the peanut butter that you should buy.